Hello everybody, my name is Chef Stanley Townsend and we're here today to share some tips and some tricks on how to make some tasty and nutritious dishes out of ingredients commonly found in the Edmonton Food Bank hamper. So stick around, we're going to have fun and we're going to get cooking. Keep it simple, keep it fun. And we're going to make a series of 3 recipes to celebrate the multiculturalism of Edmonton. You know, we just finished up on Heritage Days, and that's a major fundraiser for the Edmonton Food Bank. We didn't quite reach our goal, so we'd appreciate if you have any extra groceries or you might like to make a donation, please contact the Edmonton Food Bank. So the first dish we're going to make is chow mein. Now this chow mein is a big hit with the kids. It's completely vegetarian. We're going to start out with some dry chow mein noodles, and we're just going to put that into some boiling water for a couple of minutes. Now over here we have our celery already started, so that'll cook off a little bit. To that we're going to add some onion. We're also going to add a very nutritious dish. You know, one of my favorite ingredients is cabbage. So we're going to put that on, stir that up, just waiting to get some heat. So we've got our cabbage, our celery, our onions. These are all vegetables that will take a little longer to cook. And one of my favorite ingredients that's going to apply lots of protein, lots of flavor, are mushrooms. So we're just going to saute that up nicely. Of course, we're going to add Canada's 2 favorite spices to that, a little salt. And to kick it up a little bit, a little pepper. We're also going to add an Asian oil to this ingredient, to our ingredients, which is some sesame oil. And we're going to provide, a couple of teaspoons of soy sauce. And you can look at that. It's cooking up quite nicely. I wish you could smell over television because this smells absolutely beautiful. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drain off our chow mein noodles, which have cooked for a couple of minutes. As you can see, can everybody get a good shot of that? The cabbage, the onions, the celery, the mushrooms, the wonderful flavors of the sesame oil. If you don't have sesame oil, you can use ordinary oil. And of course some soy sauce. Everybody has soy sauce, a couple of teaspoons of that. Let that cook off. Doesn't take very long. The secret and most nutritious ingredients in here are, of course, the mushrooms and the cabbage. Everybody loves cabbage. Now all we have to do is take our chow mein noodles out, drain them off, add them right to our sauteed vegetables. One of my favorite dishes. If you're in a hurry, only got a little time, and the lard is getting a little bare, I'd really encourage you to try out this dish. It's a great dish. So, of course, try not to make too much of a mess. That's what my wife tells me all the time. Good luck on that one. But some people say that's part of the fun of cooking, is being able to... Now look at this. Doesn't that look good? Doesn't that smell good? Can you see all the colors? And of course, when we put this all together, we're going to have lots of flavors. If you went to an Asian restaurant and ordered this, it would probably contain chicken. Chicken chow mein, shrimp chow mein. This has no chicken in it, but it's got the additional added flavors of those mushrooms and the cabbage, and that's just a beautiful dish. How much better does it get than that? So let's serve it up. We're going to serve it up family style. I'm going to put it into a nice big dish like this. How easy is that? What do you say? It took us about 5 minutes to make that. Of course, that doesn't count all the time we spent on chopping. So there we go. Just put those dishes over there. And just do a little quick cleanup here. And we had some green onions. And so these little green onions I'm going to put on top, as well as we're going to put a few bean sprouts right down the middle here. I forgot to include the bean sprouts, so we're going to put a little green onion over there. And there you've got lovely, lovely What would Edmonton be without great Italian food? We've got great Italian stores, we've got great Italian restaurants, we got great Italian chefs, and we've got great Italian dishes. So we're going to stretch the food dollar a little bit. Mostly everybody thinks when they make a spaghetti sauce, they put in ground beef, but we're not going to put in ground beef. What we're going to use is one of those ingredients that you do get in the food bank. We're going to use some tuna. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out. We're going to put in some garlic, like that. Also, to kick it up a notch, hot and spicy, some chili flakes. Now, if you didn't have chili flakes, get some. And we'll saute that off. As soon as those aromas start to smell, we're going to add this is about a cup of diced tomatoes. Want to cook that off. Optional ingredient, can add a little bit of oregano to it like that. We're going to put our tuna in there. If the tuna comes in water or it comes in oil, there's no need to drain it. So basically that's the essence of our spaghetti sauce. Now, of course, when you make spaghetti, we've already boiled our spaghetti. It's pretty well ready. What we like to do is take a little bit of the pasta water and put it in like that. The starch will help to thicken the sauce. And one of the secret ingredients I'm going to use are these little pickled vegetables called capers. There's actually a pickled flour. They come from Europe. You can buy a small bottle of those for a couple of dollars in any store. So we're going to put a few capers in there. If you don't have capers, no big deal. You can put some basil in there. You can put chopped parsley in there. You can lose lots of license with this recipe. Now, right at the end, what we're going to do is we're going to add our spaghetti, which we've already cooked. Don't have to worry about draining it too well. This dish will make an ample 3 to 4 portions. We're just going to take all our spaghetti out like that. Put it in. Let's move this pot out of the way. And now, we're just going to toss the spaghetti up with our sauce. Get that all mixed up. You know, people might have a little bit of aversion to tuna, but really if you start out with a quality tuna, like the chunk tuna, most of the tuna that we get in the stores today is of very good quality. And we're going to mix those tomatoes up there. Now, if you happen to have some fresh tomatoes growing on your tomato plant out on your patio in your garden, you can use fresh tomatoes with that. You can extend it with a little bit of tomato sauce for extra flavor. And of course, what would spaghetti be like if we didn't have some Parmesan cheese in there? So we're going to spread this all with Parmesan cheese. Rid of those containers. I'm going to toss that up. Now somewhere here I had some fresh basil. I'm not quite sure where that is. Whatever you want to put on top of this, a little chopped parsley, a little basil, and of course what really is the finishing ingredient is to put some good quality olive oil on there. We have a nice big pasta dish. Now you notice I didn't put any salt and pepper in there because we got the chili flakes. We're not going to need a lot of salt and pepper, but it's always nice to put a little bit of that in there. So a nice dish. You know, I usually like to spike it up, add a little additional tomato product to it. Hey, if you've got spaghetti sauce and you want to use that, fine. If you've got crushed tomatoes, you want to use that, fine. Whatever you like. And there we have beautiful, beautiful, big bowl of tasty spaghetti, tonato, mangia. This should be a big hit with the kids. And all we're going to do is put on some of that basil. Whether we wanted to put the basil chiffonade is fine, or we just wanted to tear it up a little bit and sprinkle it across there. You know, this is a kind of a home-style recipe, so I like the basil to be kind of torn, because then you get a nice bite of the basil. And the last thing we're going to do is put a little more olive oil on there. And there you have it. What a beautiful dish. Hey, what can you make with a can of tuna? You can make this.
Hi, I'm Marjorie Benz. I'm Executive Director of Edmonton's Food Bank, and I'm here today with Stanley to talk about how you can really maximize your cooking skills and learn some great shopping tips, all to make better food for your family and friends.
Yeah, that's right, Marjorie. We're having fun today here in the kitchen. We're using a lot of the basic ingredients that you'd find in the hamper, but we're kind of kicking it up a little bit. We're adding different flavors to it, some different dimensions. We're including some of the ethnic flavors in some of our food, and the ultimate test will be if do the kids like it, the little kids and the big kids, then we know we've done our job. But we're having fun, and it's just great to be here today.
Great food for low cost, right?
Great food for low cost.
Tell us a little bit about what you're wearing.
Oh, what am I wearing today? Well, I am wearing 3 different entities in my uniform. Of course, I'm wearing this hat, which says EdmontonChefs.ca. I'm the president of this professional professional organization that champions professional success. I'm also wearing my blue scarf, which are the colors of NATE, which indicates the unlimited potential realized by NATE graduates in the big blue Alberta sky. And I'm wearing one of my jackets from Skills Canada. I was a national technical advisor with Skills Canada, an organization that champions young people getting into the trades. So that's kept me young, but it's also aged me like a fine wine.
Thank you so much, Stanley, for
You're
sharing
welcome.
all your great skills with us.
Great. So we're going to make one of the favorite recipes in Edmonton, and it's called Borscht. There are many types of borscht. Some types of borscht contain cabbage. Some kinds of borscht have only beets in it. My type of borscht is going to have some cabbage, some beets. You put a little garlic in there to start off. We're also, borscht is a classic example of, summer's upon us. I have all these fresh vegetables in the garden. What am I going to do? So quite often the baba would go out and make a beef stock. She'd take, a nice chunky piece of beef, put it in a pot with some vegetables and make some beef stock. We've got that over there. And then she would just add all of the vegetables straight out of the garden. So we've got some cabbage, gives you lots of flavor. We got some green beans, some carrots, some nice diced potatoes we're going to throw in there. We're going to stir that all around. Can you see that past the steam? And of course, when you're doing vegetables like this, nice idea to add the seasonings right at the beginning. So we're going to put that salt in with the sauteed vegetables, and that salt will help to extract the moisture out of the vegetables, and we'll start building layers of flavor. Beautiful vegetables sauteing, and now we're going to add the hot beef stock to it. You can make your own beef stock. You can make the stock out of a powder. We're going to bring that back to a boil. And at this time, we're also going to add our cooked beets. Now, to cook beets, the best way to cook beets is to take the beets, don't trim the root off, just leave the root on, put them in some cold water, bring it up to a boil, some cold salted water, reduce it to a simmer, and cook those beets till they're nice and fork tender. Once they're fork tender, that means the fork goes in and comes out easily. What we're going to do is drain the beets, put them off, let them cool off, and once they're cooled off, we're just going to take a paper towel and rub that paper towel, and that'll bring you completely peel your beets. Now, you may say, I don't have any beets in my garden. I don't have a garden. You could cheat on this recipe. You notice I've got carrots, so you could substitute those little baby carrots, chop those up and put in there. You could actually go to the store any time of the year and buy actually canned diced beets and put that into the borscht. But we're just going to let that simmer for about 20 minutes, and we'll come back to that and we'll bowl it up with some nice dollop of sour cream and some fresh dill. Well, it looks like our borscht has come to a vigorous boil, reduced it to a simmer, cooked it out for about 20 minutes. We test by, there's some potatoes in there. We can just do a quick test on the vegetables. Give them a little poke. Yeah, they appear to be nice and tender. Of course, we want to taste this, and I have a tasting spoon here. But here's how to taste it. This is an old trick I learned. So we're going to put it right in the bowl like that. This is how we used to do it when I was in chef school. Put it into a plate like this, allows us to take a look at the food, but also it cools it off. Ooh, mama, that tastes good. Now, borscht is a combination of all the yin-yangs of the flavors. There's some salt in there. There's some sweetness in there, because certainly the beets are very, very high in sugar. There's a little bit of zing. What we're going to do to add a little bit of zing is to put a little vinegar in there. Now, that'll give the soup a little bit of acidity. Now, lots of people would just use ordinary white vinegar, which I have here. But one of the tricks I do is my wife makes beautiful pickled beets. So I just take some of the juice off the pickled beets. It's kind of sweet, sour, it's already flavored. I put that in there, I stir it around, and that's pretty well ready. Of course, we can adjust it a little bit, put a little pepper in it. First 3 dishes we made. Fast, quick. There's a little bit of mise en place on the borscht, but well worth it if you can learn how to make this borscht. And I'm going to tell you something about a soup like this. It tastes good today. It'll taste even better tomorrow. It'll taste even better after the day after. You can eat this borscht either hot or cold. So it's a nice summer dish, and it's also a nice winter dish. So we're just going to take a nice big scoop of that borscht. You can see there's lots of vegetables in there. I should do this a little more professionally. Take a big ladle of that soup. So you can take a look, as you can see, lots of nutritious vegetables. The beets I cut a little on the chunky side because the beets are the star of the show. And of course, has a very healthy diuretic action that you'll find out after you eat this soup. So we take that, and of course the last thing we can do is we're going to take a generous dollop of that sour cream, put that right in the middle, and then of course you want to stir that up into the soup. Some people actually stir the sour cream into the soup before they serve it, but I like to put a little dollop, and what would the soup be? I'm going into the garden and get some nice fresh dill. And the rest of the dill, put in the soup, hurt the flavors. So there we go. Beautiful, beautiful, hearty dish. You notice those first three dishes we made? All meatless. We use tuna as a substitute with the spaghetti. We use mushrooms as a substitute. Get that meaty type of a flavor with the chow mein. And of course, this is a completely vegetarian dish. Doesn't have to be completely vegetarian, well, with the exception of the beef stock. Some people will actually take ground beef and saute the ground beef off with the vegetables and put a little ground beef in there. But that's a beautiful dish. If you want it to be completely vegetarian, of course, you use a vegetable stock. Some people use chicken stock. You can either make your own, you can purchase it, you can get the bouillon cubes. It's not a big chore. But let me tell you, I think the only one Ukrainian word I know is the borscht, and that would really describe the heartiness of that soup. Thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you had some fun today. I hope you learned a few tips and tricks on how to stretch that food dollar, and hope to see you again on Cook It Simple.